Hey guys, here we are, the Entertainment Oasis, to discuss our topic. And we've got some good food, good company. So let us begin.
Alright, well, what did you want to talk about? Go on.
I wanted to talk about, first it's going to be Marvel and DC. I wanted to talk about, have Marvel movies reached the best that they can be? Have they peaked? And with Endgame, because I feel like that may never be topped as far as Marvel movies go. I've seen the lineup of Marvel movies coming out in the future, and some of them do look pretty good, but I honestly don't think either of them can rise to the occasion of Endgame. And because of this, and then with the movie Joker coming out, that just came out, which I still haven't seen yet. I heard it's super good, but
it is really good.
But are we gonna maybe see a shift? Like, are DC movies gonna start, maybe having their time and finally stepping out of the shadow of the Marvel movies?
Okay, so I love DC. I'm more of a DC fan than I am a Marvel fan.
But you still like Marvel, though.
I do like Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people who dismisses them just because it's Marvel. I still watch them, but DC has shown us something, and that's like, yeah, we can strike gold, but it's not consistent. So no, I don't think that
it hasn't been consistent yet. But because of how Marvel, I feel peaked, do you think now it can rise to the occasion? No.
We would need better quality movies, though. I mean, yeah, if DC isn't gonna pump them out, yeah, they had success with Joker, but I mean, I guarantee you, Birds of Prey is gonna flop. And that am I wrong? Am I wrong?
I don't know. I got my heart set on Birds of Prey.
I mean, I'm still gonna watch. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I know I'm not.
So what's Birds of Prey gonna be about?
It's essentially a Harley Quinn movie. That's all it is. I mean, it's what's it called? The emancipation of Harley Quinn and the
Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of Harley Quinn.
Yeah, there you go.
So and she's all over the ads, like the promos and the posters. It's all her pretty much.
So it's a Harley Quinn movie masquerading as a full-on Birds of Prey movie. At least from what I could see in the commercial. But back to that other question, if they've already peaked, like the Marvel movies, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say.
Do you think they've peaked? Well, of the lineup, what can possibly come out that's going to top Endgame?
Guardians? No. That can top Endgame? Okay, maybe nothing from what they've
Exactly. So if nothing can top it, then that means they've peaked.
Well, no, because there's going to be another Avengers movie. So I mean, at the moment, I don't know how that looks, because we haven't had any of the new Phase movies come out yet. But I don't know. I think it could be. I want to say that no, they haven't peaked. They. And I hate admitting this, but I think they have a couple characters that maybe can help build up their next phase. Especially now that Spider-Man's going to be a little more involved. I feel like that's going to be their cash cow, or their what do you call it, crutch?
Their front man?
That's going to be their front man into the next phase until he, because right now he's still young, so maybe it'd be a series of Spider-Man movies and you see him grow up, and then maybe the end of this next phase has something to do with Spider-Man's big exit. And everybody loves Spider-Man. I mean, who doesn't like Spider-Man? I like Spider-Man. I don't know. That's just what I think.
Well, I guess my biggest problem with that statement is the fact that so many big names are now not going to be with the Avengers. Because as far as we know, spoiler alert, you can stop the video now if you don't want to hear this. But anyway, Iron Man died, so no more Robert Downey Jr. Chris Evans became an extremely old man. His avenging days are over. No more Chris Evans. And you also lost Scarlett Johansson, so no more Black Widow. There's a lot of big names that are no longer going to be with the Avengers, that I feel like so many people watched it solely for those characters. And now that they're not going to be the face of the franchise anymore, I mean, you can try to say people are going to step in to take their place. Who? I mean, Chris Hemsworth with the Thor, Brie Larson. I honestly don't see them filling that void.
I'm surprised you're not saying anything, man. You usually always have something to say.
I'm trying not to bash Marvel. I like some Marvel movies, but very few of them. I like what he says about. That's true. I mean, they lost Evans, Johansson,
Junior, Robert Downey Jr.
and like, who's gonna replace him? You know, it's like how do you fill in those shoes and
Simple. Give Ant-Man a bigger push. You got Spider-Man. You still have Thor. I mean, I think
Thor's pretty big right now.
he is. Out of you got rid of Chris Evans or Captain America, but I always thought that Thor was a bigger draw than Captain America. I mean, if you really ask people about their top Marvel movies, very few of them say that Winter Soldier was their. I love Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier and Civil War are my favorite ones.
But I mean, I honestly think that people like Thor a lot more than they like Captain America.
I mean, now that he's funny.
Yeah.
Like before he was funny. Before he wasn't funny. They were pretty boring.
Now you got the new was it Love and Thunder movie coming out? So I don't know. I think they're fine with the lineup they have. You know.
But I like what you said about pushing Ant-Man. Like Ant-Man, like
He's very underrated.
Paul Rudd is perfect in that. Like great casting in the whole movies. Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah.
Like you don't get an actor like her like, and just like waste her. Like she should have been in. She should have had more time in Endgame. But I don't know. Hopefully he'll get his trilogy or
I mean, what he
bigger arc.
Yeah, a better arc. I don't know. I feel like there's so much potential with Ant-Man, and they're just not. At least I feel they're not putting as much of a emphasis on him or giving him like the push he deserves.
Okay.
You know.
So so I know where you stand. So you don't think DC can rise to the occasion of finally stepping out of the shadow of Marvel movies as of right now?
From what I've seen, no.
What you've seen.
No.
Do you Marcos, like with the Joker movie just coming out and performing very well, and we're not going to see probably another Avengers movie for a while. Do you think this could be the time that DC can finally just break out of that stigma of being behind Marvel movies?
I think that stigma's always going to be there, just because there's that divide between Marvel and DC. You know, like the fans like choose sides, and like I think because of that rivalry, like I don't think DC will ever like.
So you think Marvel has a naturally bigger fan base than DC?
Oh yeah, definitely.
They had a bigger head start though. I mean, DC tried to get in the game like after what, like 7-8 years of Marvel doing their movies. So
like me, I'm just a comic book fan, you know, fan in general, but most people don't see it that way. Like some people are like either or, and yeah, I don't see DC ever coming like up to that position. You know, like, even with Joker, this like eventually the hype will die down or whatever. Like
and DC will go back to being.
Or you know the new lineup of Marvel movies are gonna come out, and like DC goes back to where it used to be.
I see. I just feel like DC was very reactionary to their approach, as far as they saw what Marvel was doing. They saw that the success that the movies were having, and they saw that they were slowly combining them. They slowly saw the build up to the Avengers movies by putting little Easter eggs in here and there for their individual movies. And I feel DC saw that and tried to rush that combination with Batman versus Superman, and then like all of a sudden the Justice League movie coming out. I feel like they rushed it a little too fast because they were more reactionary.
Yeah.
They saw what Marvel was doing, and they wanted to catch up, but they didn't have that gradual build-up that Marvel did. That started way back in 2008 when the first I feel like that was the spark for Marvel, was the first Iron Man movie that came out in 2008 that really started that entire movie grind that Marvel came out with.
Yeah.
I mean, had DC just kind of not have been so reactive and just took their approach kind of gradual like Marvel did, I personally think the outcome would have been, I think it would have been better.
You never know. Maybe if they would have gone that route, they would have had time, or they would have put in the time to come up with decent storylines for their movies. Not just make them seem like they're just a rushed mess just to stay on the heels of Marvel, which they were far from anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder if maybe that would have helped, but I'm eager to see how having James Gunn do the Suicide Squad. I want to see how that comes out. I love what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy, so now I'm like, okay, can we strike gold again with Suicide Squad? I hope so, because I am much more of a DC fan, but I've just been disappointed. I like their shows, the ones on CW and the ones on the DC app. I like their animated movies. Those things are they are so good. So there are some that miss the mark, but yeah, I mean, I can only hope that DC manages to turn things around.
Oh, it's interesting that you mentioned that. I have always thought that DC always excelled in animated series and animated movies.
Yeah.
Far more than Marvel. I feel like they've always been ahead in that.
I mean, Marvel, they had their cartoons in the 90s.
They
that
did.
Was it.
Exactly. Well,
all the other ones that came up after that were like...
Besides Spider-Man and X-Men.
Those were from the 90s.
Exactly. But what else was there besides those?
There was the Iron Man cartoon, the Hulk cartoon.
But were they that big? Were they that popular?
They were good. I'm not gonna say that they weren't, because they probably weren't as big. I know for a fact they weren't as big as Spider-Man or X-Men, but they were enjoyable. They weren't trash, if that's what you're asking. They were actually pretty good to watch.
But I feel like shows like the animated '90s Batman show, the Superman one, and then the Justice League, I feel those they outshined the Marvel animated series by far.
Spider-Man.
By far.
Spider-Man and X-Men. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Justice League. I love Justice League Unlimited.
The animated
I was in
series.
college. I was in college and I was still watching Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah, I don't know.
Batman Beyond.
You can't. Yeah, I can't wholeheartedly say that DC was leagues better and that their shows were better than X-Men and Spider-Man.
I do. I thought they were much better I think in script writing, I think in animation. I'm not saying.
Well, keep in mind.
Okay,
I'm not
animation. I think
Spider-Man had pretty good animation for its time.
Honestly, it
for the was it mid '90s?
It looked like you were watching like Fruity Pebbles.
It was from the mid '90s
in animation.
Justice League.
So was Batman.
Okay, the Batman animation was not that great.
What?
Be honest.
it was pretty rich.
The early '90s Batman.
Yeah,
animated.
94,
That is widely considered one of the greatest animated series of all time.
You can't say it's least better than Spider-Man.
Yes, I can.
In terms of no.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
I think they're both. I think they're both on even ground right
No, I completely disagree. I disagree completely.
I hope you get food poisoning. Get some
man.
food poisoning in you.
I mean, I can't really pick one. They're both great.
Right, and as much as I don't like Marvel, comics, movies, I have to.
Those crossover episodes are really great.
The Spider-Man and X-Men one. That one was alright. I expected more.
I never saw those, I'll admit. I never saw those.
This guy, when you calling them trash.
I didn't call them trash. I didn't say they weren't as good as a Batman animated. But anyway.
And if you're talking about theme songs too, I mean, I can't say that the Batman theme song was better than the X or the Spider-Man one. I think was the best one out of all the theme songs for.
Sing it for us.
No. Although the Teen Titans one was really catchy.
The Justice League one was great too.
Oh,
the instrumental. Dun, dun, dun,
yeah.
Dun, dun. Oh, that was great.
But back then that was when Marvel had great animated series.
DC kept up with theirs.
Yeah, they did. Young Justice, by far one of the better animated series, even for DC.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like the storylines were more mature, and there was actual character growth between arcs.
Well, Young Justice, they pretty much catered to the
Toy company.
To us. They were growing up with their shows, with the audience. Like they're catering to us, the ones that watched, Batman the animated series. Like we're growing up, so they were like catering to us still. Giving us a little more mature themes.
Yeah. And the thing I liked about that one, Young Justice, was that unlike Well, I guess the only other one that might have done it was Teen Titans, but even then, there were like short character arcs or story arcs. Like Young Justice, like each season was a whole story from beginning to end. It wasn't a villain of the week kind of thing. Kind of like
it wasn't small arcs in between. It was just a
one
more fleshed out giant story.
Yeah, and even as you go season by season, yes, it's a different story arc, but at the same time, it's like it all technically is.
Those small
the same
stories are
thing.
under a big umbrella.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like it a lot. It's different.
I need to catch up with Young Justice.
Dude, you need to get on that quick.
I need that DC app.
One thing I did want to ask. So I mean, you guys have seen all that fuss that they've been making online about what Martin Scorsese said about the Marvel movies, or not Marvel movies, but comic book movies in general. All right, so what did you guys think about that?
Where do I start?
Oh,
I think he's a man with movies that are part of cinema history. You know, like there's a craft to his movies. You know, like I said, I mean, I like some Marvel movies, very few of them. And I mean, like somebody like him, like he can say whatever he wants to. I mean, like his movies are pieces of art. You know, like what's his favorite movie? What's y'all's favorite movie that he made? Like,
I mean, you can't go wrong with The Departed. I heard.
Departed versus Black Panther, which got some Oscars. In 50 years, The Departed will still be around. Black Panther, like, I mean, do you think people are still going to talk about Black Panther in 50 years?
Do you think that was like what he meant though, with that comment that
He didn't mean that, but well, he did say something about that they're not really cinema,
which is absolute bullshit.
See, and I wonder if that comment
that is the absolute most ridiculous thing I've ever heard a director say. It just sounds like an old man hating on new movies. That's all it comes down to.
Maybe it is.
That is what it is.
But I'm wondering if this is just me reaching. I'm not even sure this is what he meant. But I wonder if by him saying that they're not cinema, if maybe somehow he was referencing whether they would stand the test of time, kind of like what you brought up. And
they absolutely will, because it's not something that anybody has ever done before, as far as getting all these big name actors and how much money that they've made. Just the money that they've made alone is gonna stay in history for the rest of time. Just if you're talking about legacy and history, the money that they've made alone will leave. It's left its mark.
That part, yes.
But that's a huge part of it, though. And it's not just a national thing. It's an international sensation. People around the world love these Marvel movies.
Right now they do, though, and I think that's where my mindset is. Like, 30 years from now, are superhero movies still going to be a thing?
I don't think so. I think
it's possible.
I think most
it is, but realistically speaking,
I saw a meme recently.
Even if they aren't, though, what does that have to do with people forgetting about it?
The way I see them, it's kind of like how decades ago movies about cowboys were the it thing. You know, there was a lot of westerns out there, and that was, I guess, their version of a superhero craze, or our version of a superhero craze back then. And when you really think about it, there's only like a few that stick out. You know, that actually withstood the test of time. So I don't know, when I see it through that lens, I can't picture movies like, what was it, Thor, what was that new one that came, not the new, the previous one?
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. I can't imagine that being like one of the gems that we remember as one of the greats from decades ago. I mean, maybe Captain America, because that was more like a spy thriller, The Winter Soldier. That was more like a spy thriller.
Love that one. That's my favorite one.
I didn't feel like that one was a cookie cutter kind of movie, which I think would even further that argument that one could probably withstand the test of time. But when you look at all the other ones, they've been just so formulaic that I honestly, it's going to be, you could just pick up a whatever random movie, comic book movie from a bin, and you'd have the same thing. You need something that makes it different. unique in order for it to withstand the test of time, and I don't think they've had that many.
I would agree with you that not every single Marvel superhero movie that has come out, some of them are forgettable. I'll admit that.
Like,
But well, for what the first Captain America
Yeah, that was pretty.
completely
that was trash.
that was garbage. That
Would
one was
you say it was garbage?
that one
Piled
was
on
so
by Nickelback CDs and then set on fire.
that one was so bad. I never saw the Winter Soldier
dude.
because the first
You still haven't seen it?
I still haven't seen
You
it.
know what?
I skipped it.
Stop.
I know,
We're gonna
right?
watch
I
We're gonna
skipped
watch
it. And I went to Civil War because the first one I thought was so bad.
It was.
It was so bad
You have to
I couldn't
watch
see the second one.
The Winter Soldier.
Everybody kept telling me that, but then all the other movies started
Kind
coming
of
out.
like Drew said about
yeah.
the formula. Like Winter Soldier and Civil War don't have that formula. They're more like spy movies. Well, Civil War's kind of it's more like thrillerish, suspense kind of, like. But like Winter Soldier is like.
It's not. You wouldn't even guess it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like
So it stands alone very well.
It could stand alone very well.
Okay. Well, I probably have to. Well, I've heard nothing but good things about Winter Soldier. To be fair, I just got so traumatized from the first one that I couldn't bring myself to watch the second one. But I do need to get around to watching it just for fairness because I haven't heard one bad thing about Winter Soldier.
Unpopular opinion, I think it's better than Civil War. That's just me.
They're both up there with me, dude. Like, oh man, like they're so good.
But anyway, well, but going back to like forgettable ones, like the second Thor was forgettable. Even the first one wasn't even that great.
Yeah.
The second Avengers movie, Age of Ultron.
Oh, that was trash.
That one. See that?
No,
one
this guy disagrees.
I own Age of Ultron. I despise the first one.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like nothing
Okay.
happens in that movie till the very end. Age of Ultron, well, plus it featured Vision, which he's my favorite Avenger, which he's nobody's favorite Avenger.
No, not even the actor who plays Vision likes Vision.
I have a T-shirt with Vision on them, like it says Avengers Fallen is Vision. Like that was his big intro, and like he was like kind of like a subplot. Like I love that. I felt like he was bigger in that than he was in Infinity War. Like, like he should have been the bigger part in Infinity War because he had Stone. It should have been like a
More emphasis on him.
yeah, like kind of like a race to save Vision, and it really wasn't. It was kind of just like a mini subplot. But yeah, Age of Ultron. Like I'm a big sucker for it. Like,
I'm not saying Age of Ultron was bad, but I do feel like of all the Avengers movies that came out, it was the least.
I'm saying it's bad. It was. I mean,
It
come
was
on.
it was the least.
it's probably my
good.
favorite Avengers movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
There's so
I
world
think-
over here.
Bucky was a badass. After that, he was never a
Bucky
badass.
was never a badass.
No, he was a badass in Winter Soldier.
He was trash, garbage, basura. That's what he was.
Who?
Bucky.
Oh, Bucky.
See,
Yeah.
see.
I know.
Case
Bucky.
I know who Bucky is. But anyway, going back to that theme park thing, that part was whatever. Then he went on to say something like that movies need to be more about narrative and emotion. And
I agree
I
with
mean,
that.
well, the thing is though, the Avengers movies or the Marvel movies don't have any emotion or don't have a narrative. The thing is, like, I feel there was plenty of times where like the characters got pretty deep, like especially with Hawkeye, when his family got killed, and then he started going like he became like an assassin.
For like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's good though. That at least they're trying to put some elements in there because you also have to remember pulling off a movie of that magnitude and trying to fit everyone's story in there and the action and all that. It's a very difficult thing to do.
See, but to that point, and I could be wrong because I'm like just trying to think on the fly here of all the Marvel movies I've seen. I feel like that whole character emotion stuff isn't what drives the movie. It takes the backseat to the, to the, what do you call it? I guess to the threat. In this case, like for the first Avengers, it was like, oh, there's this imminent threat coming, or this threat that has arrived, and yes, the whole point of that movie is them coming together to fight that off, fight off the invasion, but. Like,
and they had disagreements with each other.
Yeah, but that doesn't drive the movie. Though I think what Martin Scorsese was saying is...
It definitely did drive the movie because it led to Civil War.
And that's the thing, though.
That was foreshadowing for Civil War.
But that's the thing, though. Civil War was more about, I guess, the conflict. Like, it's kind of like I guess the way I can describe it is okay. So we haven't seen the new Joker movie. I feel like that one is one that doesn't take like the emotional part of it, doesn't take the back seat to it. Like it is a major part of the movie. You know, it's not an element that adds to the like what do you call it like an add on to I guess what the movie's about. I mean that is what the movie is about. Like it's all about what this guy's feeling, like how he feels to society, and so that is I think a emotion driven movie as opposed to like something like the Avengers where there's emotion, but for the most part the emphasis on the emotion aspect of it isn't as great.
Of course not.
It's present, but you know.
Of course not. But you can't expect a movie like that to, for instance, if this guy, if Scorsese is expecting to get the same emotional value as say from a movie of The Departed, it's obviously not going to happen because The Avengers isn't that type of movie.
And maybe that's why he thinks it's not cinema.
Exactly, but that's a very like narrow-minded viewpoint. He went on to saying that these movies aren't for me, and then he said that they shouldn't be taking over. He made a comment something like how they overrun cinema, and I think that's where this is really coming from. He doesn't like the fact that these movies are overshadowing so many other pieces of movie that are coming out.
He just why things are annoying or something. I don't think he hates.
That's exactly what he's saying. But then he goes on to say that they're not cinema. Like, please.
I mean,
it just comes off as childish to me. At that point.
I would disagree. Not that I would disagree, but I would back him less if he didn't consider Transformers movies the same, like garbage, or not garbage, but they're not cinema. Because I feel that's the exact same thing as Marvel movies.
I mean, they didn't ask him about Transformers.
The thing is, he would have never.
So I wonder if
Transformers. It wasn't as big as these Marvel movies.
But that's what I'm thinking. Like,
I wonder take over.
I wonder if he means like all these big blockbuster movies that are all about action and explosions, and I wonder if he lumps that all together. Because if he does think about all of them in the same way, then I guess I can kind of see. I would be more behind him.
But he didn't. Yeah. He singled out Marvel and said Marvel movies aren't cinema.
Because they asked him about Marvel. Like they didn't ask him about like.
He didn't make any other comparisons to any other movie. If he really felt that way. He didn't bring up something like Transformers, or he didn't bring up even DC movies or anything like that.
Well, I mean, he said comic book movies, right? So, I mean, that kind of lumps DC in there.
Oh, okay. Did he say comic book or Marvel?
I don't remember.
I think he said comic book movies. Or superhero movies, I think.
Fair enough.
Somebody look up his quote.
I think it was... Yes. Okay, I think they did single out Marvel.
Marvel
superhero movies.
Uh-oh.
Whoops. Whoopsie.
Yeah, so...
But, I mean, if you say Marvel, then that has to include DC, too. I mean, they're the same thing. They are...
He feels that Marvel movies have taken over, and when people reference cinema, that's a huge chunk of all people are talking about. He doesn't like it. And I can understand if he said something like, oh, superhero movies are my thing. This guy is also from another era. Let's remember that too. He's a very old man. So he's not going to relate to the mainstream hype of like superhero movies and like the visuals, because he's used to directing much more like I said narrative movies that are more about like emotion and all that. So he looks at this and it's like the complete opposite.
Well, why do Marvel fans have to be so defensive about his comments? I mean,
That's another thing too.
Yeah, Marvel fan.
Honestly, I don't really care what he says, but I wouldn't. I guess care as much if he just said these movies aren't for me.
Mm-hmm.
But he went as far as to say that they're not cinema. To me, that's like, come on, really? Like at that point, you do just sound like a hater. That doesn't mean I'm going to be so outraged. I'm not as outraged as other people. I'm not going to go write an angry blog about it or anything like that. But
just make a video about it.
Just make a video of sharing different viewpoints.
Mm-hmm. Try to look up Jennifer Aniston's quote. I wonder. Now it's killing me.
But I do agree, Marvel fans, they need to calm their stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal.
They're the ones that started the whole DC versus Marvel rivalry.
That's always been around.
Wait, who started it?
Marvel fans.
I feel like both sides are to blame.
Both sides are to blame for sure.
Yeah.
That's always been around.
I never chose a side.
Neither did I.
I mean, I kind of did choose a side, but I mean, I sound like I trash every Marvel movie. I'm not like our friend Justin, who's like anything DC without even seeing it. He's like, oh no, that's trash. That's trash.
You're almost that way. You're like right there.
But I still go to the theater and I watch them though. And then I say they're trash.
And
So,
then-
so
yeah,
that way when they're like, have you even seen it? I'll be like, yeah, I did.
That
I
way-
sat down for 2 hours.
That way you can say that, like, it just gives you something like ammo, a defense
Yeah,
mechanism.
it makes my argument more valid.
Exactly.
I saw the movie.
The internet has a tendency to, throw more
Yeah, I get
fuel
it.
to the fire. Or they make things bigger than what it is, or
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, the internet can make or break a movie's, like performance. Sometimes I feel.
Mm.
I mean,
If only it would have broken Captain Marvel.
Ah.
Kidding.
Dark Phoenix wasn't as bad as people say it was.
I haven't seen it yet though.
I own it. You can borrow it. And then nobody gave it a chance. It bombed so bad, and it's like it's not that bad.
Now, if I watch it and it's really bad, dude, I'm gonna.
That's
riot.
on you. That is on
Fantastic
you.
Four, same thing. It's
That was the movie event of the summer. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it was. I know what you're gonna say with that. Like, it was kind of bad once they got their powers, but the first half of that movie was like, oh my god, I love this. And I don't know, maybe if they would have given it more of a chance, they would have come out saying like it was okay, as opposed to like, oh, it was straight, dumpster fire. That's
It
what I
was.
think. The second half was. And I think if you watch it up until before they get their powers and you end it like as to be continued and pretend like they never made the sequel, you will really like it. You will really like
Well then,
it.
it's like cuts out all like you only watch if they just cut half of the movie, it would have been good.
Yeah, it would have.
Let us know your thoughts about everything on the comments below, and show some love. And yeah, thanks for joining us. Until next time.